this is my newest sort of creation. And if you've been following my work, then you know that, really the whole of 2025 was really dedicated to launching my big 10-week Akashic Record intensive course. And we did 2 cohorts, and it's just been incredible. But if it took everything from me, because that Akashic Record course was like it was like a 2-year in the making, thing that I birthed out. It was so huge, and I only had so much energy for what was left. So I haven't been able to do a lot of like the fun workshops and things I really enjoy doing along the way, simply because that took up so much of my space and energy. And so, and 2026 has been kind of insane. It has really required my sort of attention and awareness in a way that honestly, it's brand new. I got sick for like 2 weeks. I've been dealing with like crazy perimenopausal things. I've been reworking so much on the back end of the business. Like, I'm really excited for you guys to like be seeing some things that are going to be coming out later this year. I don't know what my hair is doing today. But point just being, like, there's been a lot on the back end. And so my creative energy, it just hasn't been there. My capacity has been very limited in that regard. And yet at the same time, I have so been wanting to create and birth something and bring something to the world that would be of service. That would be something that I would really find a lot of joy in creating. And I got to tell you, if you are a business owner, like, you can't push yourself into creating something. Like, I am not someone who's ever been ruled by money. I don't understand that. I love money and I love having money, but I can't just create to make money. Like, that it feels so wrong to me. And so I really had to wait until I was in a place. And I think it was like the universe was waiting for me to work through several things and actually have the capacity for this incredible journey to just drop in. And so I wanted to bounce in today. Thank you, Anna. And really talk about Reconnect with You. We're kicking off July 18th. This is a 21-day journey back to yourself through the inner child. This is nothing like you have experienced in regards to inner child work. It's very simple, it's very direct, and extremely powerful. And I am so excited about it. And so I wanted to just, again, pop on, talk a little bit about the background, talk a little bit about the journey itself, and of course, invite you to come join, especially because my YouTube video announcing this just completely bombed. It's like, I need to get out and like share the story around this so that people kind of understand a bit of the why. So I started doing inner child work back in 2020 with my psychotherapist. And this was very new work for me, simply because it was like, I'm the eldest daughter, and I've always been, I'm the achiever in the Enneagram, which is the 3. If you know anything about that, it's this part of me that feels like, I can only receive love through my achievements. And when I started working with my inner child, it was like bringing me back to this part of myself where, as the eldest daughter, I was fully responsible for my siblings. I took on an enormous amount of responsibility from a very young age, willingly, because it made me feel very good about who I was. And of course, that has carried on through my life. And so when I first started working with my inner child, I got to reconnect with these aspects of myself that just wanted to play and be a kid and be outside and do a number of things. That was really incredible work that I did within that container. And then through the years, I've done a couple of workshops with internal family systems, which, if you aren't familiar, it's a type of therapy work that really focuses on the different parts of ourselves. And it has a big emphasis around the inner child. And I've really enjoyed those workshops. And that is work that I incorporate into my mentorship containers with people. But, I have not personally stayed on top of my connection to my inner child, not consistently through the years. I'm always in the Akasha. I'm always doing my journaling and my meditations and EFT or whatever it is I'm feeling called to. And there's been inner child work here and there. But about 2 months ago, in the midst of some really difficult things, all of these signs were just kind of coming in like, hey, it's time to reconnect. It's time to like hang out with your inner child. And it was weird because it was popping up and it had been popping up, honestly. It was just about 2 months ago, I actually started paying attention to what was popping up. As we do, we need to like get hit over the head with stuff for things to fully come forward. But point just being is that in the midst of this, I was like, okay. And so I just sat down and started just showing up for my inner child and fully rebuilding that relationship. I didn't show up with any sort of like intention, with any goal in mind, with anything. I was just following the directive of my guides and what I was just intuitively being like brought into. And it has been phenomenal what I have been experiencing. I mean, it truly has been benefiting every area of my life. Everything from my career and sort of like the rebuild that's happening in the background. Obviously, my relationships, the way that I look, which is a wild thing. Like both my partner and my therapist have commented on like, hey, Anna, you're looking so much younger these days. And I'm like, really? Why is that? You know, my partner was just like, well, you've like, it's like the light is back in your eyes. Like you're so much more alive and just laid back and you're not as tense and, you know, and, which I thought was interesting. It has improved my sex life. So weird, so wild, so kind of random. And honestly, I would say like the thing that I have been most impressed with is the inner dialogue that I have with myself. As someone who like has always been really obsessed with self-development and spirituality and growth, you know, I'm a Sagittarian stellium. And if you know anything about Sagittarians, like we are the philosophers of the zodiac, like we are the seekers, like we want to know and understand and go deep. And I have a lot of Scorpio in my chart too. And so everything is about depth for me. And, you know, this is just, I know that I came into this lifetime to really do a lot of personal work on myself. Not because like, you know, there's things wrong with me or anything of that nature, but honestly, I think to kind of move aside the junk, the conditioning, the wounds, all of that stuff so that I could really get back to myself, which is what my work is so centered around, you know? When you think about this idea of like working with someone to remember who you are, to step back into who you are, we hear that so much in the sort of spiritual new age community that it's like it goes in one ear and out the other. But it's a big damn deal to remember who you are and to come back to who you are, because everything in this world is trying to prevent us from that. You know, the powers that be on this planet do not want us connected with ourselves. They do not want us tapped into our own wisdom and divinity. They do not want us to be sovereign, right? They want us to be distracted and entertained and sick and like all these different things. And the point just being is that I have been blown away by what this work has done in my life and the ways in which it has benefited me. And I've just truly been enjoying it and like sitting in it and, you know, talking about it, of course, with like my therapist or my friends or whatever. But of course, my guides were like, yeah, you're going to create a beautiful journey around this, because ultimately what we need so much right now, and of course always, but especially in these times, is to be connected to ourselves, to understand who we are at our core. Because when we're not connected with ourselves, you know, we put everybody in front of us. We try to be the person who has all the answers. We get burnt out. We get resentful. We blame everybody else. We get lost in victim mentality. We are not our best versions, right? And it's very, very simple what we need to do to get back to ourselves, to reconnect with ourselves. And so when I created this 21-day journey, I created it with a very busy person in mind. I created it with myself in mind because, you know, I think that like for me, again, I came to this work very simply. I didn't have these big intentions. I didn't have these big goals. I didn't like any of these things. I just felt called to start reconnecting with my inner child. And in the midst of that, I realized like, oh my gosh, I've become so disconnected from myself in the midst of building a business, doing life, paying bills, the normal things that we all do. Like, I'm a spiritual guide. The majority of my life is spent in the spiritual world and doing these things, and I still become disconnected from myself. It's so easy for us to do, right? But I wanted to, like, in the midst of my guides bringing this forward, it was like, oh my gosh, this is something really simple that I can teach, that is so easy, that you can use not only through this journey, but continued on. And I have to tell you, one of the things that has really been like coming to the surface for me through this process that I didn't even realize was that connecting with your inner child, working with your inner child, I believe, is the number one way to learning how to fall in love with yourself all over again. You know, it's so incredible when you think about it or when I think about it, I should say. I've spent my entire life, wanting to accept who I am and wanting to love myself more. And this is the number one issue on our planet, is that we don't accept ourselves, that we don't love ourselves, that we aren't connected to ourselves. And yet here is this crazy simple way to do it. Like, it's not rocket science. It's extremely simple. But, like the wellness industry, the spiritual industry, they're like, oh, you got to have this tool and you got to do this thing and all of this stuff, right? That quite frankly, like, just, I think sometimes further disconnects us from ourselves, when in reality, it's really, really simple. Because the truth is that you can be really hard on yourself. You can require a lot from yourself. You can say like, hey, Anna, why aren't you doing these things? Anna, you know to do this better. But when you see this version of yourself, when you see this child within you, this part of you, and guess what? It's my inner teen who shows up sometimes. My little like middle schooler, sometimes she is a toddler. It's like she's all different ages. But the point is that when we're dealing with someone else, I mean, think about it. Like, we're usually kinder to other people, right? We're nicer. Like, if someone else is in pain or someone else needs our assistance, like, we're like, oh my gosh, let me be there for you. And then but when we do this work, we get to do that for ourselves. And that's what's so incredible about it. Because, like, I literally sat with my inner child this morning and she was playing basketball. And this was a period in my life where I felt like I needed to play basketball because I enjoyed, like doing hoops outside and those sorts of things. And I felt all this pressure and I got into basketball and I did not like it at all. But I felt like I had to finish it because my parents were going to be mad at me if I didn't, and like all these different things. And it was this version of myself, and I was talking to her and she was telling me like, I can't do this because, like if I quit, Dad's going to be so upset with me. And it was me very much reparenting her, loving her through this process and being like, hey, this is your life. The only thing that you should be doing is something that brings you joy and something that you really love, something that lights you up. And if it's not basketball, then that's okay. You've got to be able to say that. You've got to be able to let people down. You've got to be able to stand up for yourself, right? And oh my gosh, would my life had been different if I would have had even that type of parenting as a kid. Because, right, like we don't want to let our parents down. We don't want to let people down. And so then as we get older and older, it gets harder and harder for us to say no to things or to like step out of things once we've already been inside of them. And again, this is just like the power of working with those inner aspects of us that need our time and attention, that help us to come back to who we are and help us to reconnect with who we are, which again is why this journey is going to be so powerful. So a couple of things about Reconnect. First of all, it's a 21-day journey and it's 21 days for a reason. I made it with the busy person in mind. So this is not meant to overwhelm your schedule. This is not meant to be this like all-consuming thing at all. 5-10 minutes a day is all that you need. And quite frankly, if you can't spend 5 to 10 minutes a day on yourself, then we need to have a whole different discussion. But a couple of the reasons why this is 21 days is first and foremost, if you are not showing up for yourself consistently, then you will not be able to fully experience what it feels like to show up for yourself consistently, okay? And this is whether you're doing this type of work or not. Showing up for yourself every day is massive. Like, it can literally shift everything in your life so quickly. But the second part of this is so that you can really dig into this work. So throughout this 21 days, one day we're going to be working with our inner child. Those are the reconnect days. And then the days after that, every other day, we'll be doing reflection days. And those are back and forth. And the reflection days are meant to take us even deeper. So these will be through exercises like journaling, or talking to yourself in the mirror, or recording a video, or something of that nature to help you take the experience that you had with your inner child, inner teen, however they want to show up, that much deeper so that you can really stay in the work. In addition, we will have a beautiful live community, which is, I love having communities around my offerings, because I personally think that when people come together and they open up, like, magic happens. I love being the facilitator of these groups and just really creating a beautiful, safe space to come and pour your heart out. Because when you do that, then you actually get to see that you are so far from alone. Your worries, your concerns, like your deepest fears, the things that you have experienced, other people have too. And that's what's so dynamic in those sorts of safe spaces, right? So again, it's 21 days. And so we're going to be working through 3 sort of levels within those 21 days. The first week, we are focusing on remember. And this is where we will build safety and trust with our inner child. And I call this the I Found You week. The thing is that if you haven't been working with your inner child, perhaps you've never worked with your inner child, then when you show up and connect with them, they are probably going to be quite standoffish. Maybe they'll be angry. Maybe they'll be hurt. Whatever the case may be, we want to really begin to connect with our inner child or inner teen. Again, whoever wants to show up. When I first started doing this, I think it was the second or third time that I went in, my inner teen was there and she was pissed. And she was full on teenager, and she was giving it to me about where I'm at in my life and what's going on. And she was just da 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 da. It was oh. I felt like I was just getting pummeled by the things that she was saying to me. Mind you, they were all true. And by the time that she was done talking to me, it was just okay. But I needed to hear those things, right? So this isn't always going to necessarily be about your inner child. Regardless of who shows up, we are starting to establish safety and trust in that space. The second week is called Rebuild. And this is where we're going to really be focused on building that relationship. And I call it the I'm listening stage. This is where we really kind of start going deeper with ourself, with our inner child, where we really start maybe asking some questions, engaging even deeper. Every person's experience through this is going to be a little bit different, right? And then that last week is called Reconnect. And this is really where we build partnership with our inner child and really truly reconnect with ourselves. And I call it the I'm choosing you stage, because it's truly saying wow, this is a collaboration. This is a partnership. I can move through life, but if I'm moving through life without these aspects of myself, then I am disconnected from myself. And so, when I was first going in again and talking to my inner child, one of the things that I was doing was not only was I listening to what it was she wanted to share with me, but I was also, and maybe perhaps parenting her in those ways, but even more so, I was I need you. I need you to help me have fun. I need you to help me come back to myself. I need you to help me remember who I am. I need us to come back into partnership together, because ultimately when we do that, we really are able to reconnect to those aspects of ourselves and really get inside of what's going on. Our inner child is our subconscious. And this is something that I don't think gets brought into the conversation enough, right? Our subconscious is the voice that is running all things in the background, who says yes to this relationship, yes to this career, no to that, yet whatever. It's our limiting beliefs. It's the things that hold us back. our subconscious is the one truly running our reality. And so if we aren't actively participating in it and actively like clearing out what needs to go and helping build up what is there, then we're just kind of out the whims of, the things that we've gone through, the experiences that we've had. And that's where we really start to struggle in life. And so throughout this 21-day journey, there will be all kinds of guided things to really help you reconnect, come back in, start talking to this version of yourself, reconnect with yourself, which is massive. Everything, again, in our world right now is really pushing us to disconnect from ourselves, pushing us to look outside of ourselves for answers, pushing us to be distracted. And this is truly work that you can not only do within this beautiful 21-day container, but continue doing much far past that, because there aren't any like crazy tools, super big methods. Like the simplicity of this 21-day journey is why it is so powerful. And a big part of why I can't wait to introduce you to it, because it's work that you can not only continue in your life, but that then you can start bringing out to the world and sharing with others and helping others move through in their own way. So I'm going to leave a link kind of in the caption area of this video, and you could definitely check it out via the links in my bio. Reach out to me if you have any questions. We kick off on July 18th. And even if you're not able to join us live on that day, that is okay. This is a guided process, but it's also like kind of at your own pace. And so there will be like open enrollment, but understand that I will be live and available from the 18th of July to the 8th of August. And so I invite you to come, to participate, to be, to experience, and to fully reconnect with yourself. All right, folks, I've had so much fun chatting with you. I'm so glad that I did this and popped out. Again, reach out to me if you have any questions. I would love, love, love to see you in this container. Much love.